What a great message from Winona. Well, Wannon for taking the time to speak to us today. Our next speaker is the Interim President of the College of Menominee Nation, Chris Caldwell. Chris started his educational journey at the College of Menominee Nation, graduating with an associate degree in sustainable development. He continued on to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he obtained a Bachelor in Science and Natural Resources. In 2014, he obtained a Master's in Environmental Science and Policy from the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay and is now in a doctoral program at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Chris is the former director of the Sustainable Development Institute at the College of Menominee Nation. He grew up on the Menominee Reservation and has a strong background in forestry work. Chris was the former Tribal Resources Director, Compliance and Enforcement Officer for the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin, and in his early years, he was a timber marker for Menominee Tribal Enterprises. It is with great honor that I can introduce to you Chris Caldwell.
Poso Nate Chomatna Manewak, Mashik Natanaway Makinak, Mashik Mauni Wiyak. Greetings to my fellow Menominee, to my fellow Indigenous peoples and everyone else that's tuning into this video. My name is Chris Caldwell, and I wanted to first of all welcome you to the College of Menominee Nation. I wanted to thank you for taking the time to participate in our virtual Earth Day event. Normally we have this thing spread throughout College of Menominee Nation campus here in Keshena, Wisconsin, but given the situation we've been in for the past year, of course everything's virtual. What I wanted to say in terms of the Earth Day event is this is something that we've been doing as a campus for the last several years, and our focus is always to bring our college and our communities together as we think about different ways that we can celebrate our relationship with the earth. And so one of the videos that we have actually talks about what we do as a campus in terms of the 6 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, repair, refuse, and rot, meaning composting. But stay tuned. The theme this year is restoring the earth, and it really connects to what we do as a college here, both in the academic side of things, but also in the work that we do through our Sustainable Development Institute. And so I hope you'll enjoy your time in exploring some of the videos and other information that we've put together to share with you. Waiwanan and Nit.
The Sustainable Education Coordinator here at SDI. The way I utilize the 6 R's is I compost or rot.
Hello. One way that I use the 6 R's in my workplace is when I print off materials to the printer that I have no longer any use for, as long as they don't contain any sensitive information, I try to reuse the backside of those pieces of paper for note-taking and scrap paper. So for example, here's some tips on the do's and don'ts of the AccuPlacer proctoring. And I had printed this off before, and then you see on the backside, I've actually used it to take notes from a webinar I was in. So this is one way that I use the 6 R's in the workplace. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Schweitzer. I'm the SDI Media Specialist, and the way that I use the 6 R's is I refuse. No thank you.
Library's Maker Lab and Maker programs, items that would otherwise get thrown away or maybe recycled can get repurposed in fun and creative ways.
Hey, my name's Kate Flick, and I'm geoscience faculty at CMN, and I'm going to take you down into my basement lab where I got some worms to show you a few ways I use the R's. Here you can see the compost that we're going to put in. It's got some apple peels and beets and coffee. And that's just gonna go right in here into the top bin. We're just gonna bury the food waste down in here. There you can see there was some other food waste, and there's a big stash of worms down there. Just dump it in. And then we'll cover it up. There it looks with some extra newspaper added. This one's gonna become the bottom. We're gonna take the stuff out of this one and put it into there, and then put it in the soil. And then this one's gonna become the top, and then the worms kind of filter through. So now we got this big bin of compost, which is pretty cool. All right, so now let's go see what I do with the worm poop. And so here we just dabble it onto some elderberry, and these are some garlic sprouts coming up somewhere. There we go. And then some strawberries. So that's my worms.
Hi, this is Dr. Bill Van Lopik. I really like the Sustainable Development Institute's 6 R's. A couple of those ways that I practice, two of those R's is, I refuse to drive my car when I have a choice of riding my bike. However, if I need to ride my car, I have decided to repair and reuse it, and I drive my 20-year-old Toyota Avalon here. Instead of buying a new one, I just repair and reuse it. So first, a bike, and if not a bike, then my old car. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Michaela Welch, the Marketing and Communications Manager here at CMN. How I use the 6 R's is I refuse. I refuse to buy plastic water bottles, and I just remember to always carry my own.
I'm Rebecca Edler from the Sustainable Development Institute, and I'm utilizing one of the 6 R's, repair. Oh, I'm sweeping this one. Oh, no, my broom broke. What should I do? I could throw it away, or I could repair. Good as new. I hope you enjoyed our videos and the fine words from our Interim President, Chris Caldwell. We went into everyone who helped us make the videos highlighting the 6 R's. Our next video is brought to us by the S. Verna Fowler Academic Library, Menominee Public Library. The Vice President of Student Government, Jeremiah Moses, will be narrating to a shadow puppet reenactment with his brothers from the book The Earth's on Turtle's Back by Carol Puglano Martin. Take it away, Jeremiah.
Poso Maniwuk, Jeremiah Newiswan, Jericho, Meshek, Joshua, Nematesak, Awawuk. Hi everyone, my name is Jeremiah. These are my brothers Jericho and Joshua. And today we're going to be telling you a story, The Earth on Turtle's Back. Say Poso, guys.
Poso. Poso.
We are telling the traditional Onondaga story, The Earth on Turtle's Back. Before the Earth existed, there was only water. It stretched as far as one could see, and in that water were birds and animals swimming around. Far above in the clouds, there was a skyland. In that skyland, there was a great and beautiful tree. It had 4 white roots which stretched to each of the sacred directions. And from its branches, all kinds of flowers and fruits grew. There was an ancient chief in the skyland. His young wife was expecting a child. And one night, she dreamed that she saw the great tree uprooted. The next morning, she told her husband the story. He nodded as she finished telling her dream. "My wife," he said, "I'm sad that you had this dream. It is clearly a dream of great power, and, as is our way, when one has such a powerful dream, we must do all that we can to make it true. The great tree must be uprooted." Then the ancient chief called the young men together and told them that they must pull up the tree. But the roots of the tree were so deep, so strong, that they could not budge it. At last, the ancient chief himself came to the tree. He wrapped his arms around it, bent his knees, and strained. At last, with one great effort, he uprooted the tree and placed it on its side. Where the tree's roots had gone deep into Skyland, there was now a big hole. The wife of the chief came to the hole and leaned over to look down, grasping the tip of one of the great tree's branches to steady her. It seemed as if she saw something down there, far below, glittering like water. She leaned out further to look, and as she leaned, she lost her balance and fell into the hole. Her hand slipped off the tip of the branch, leaving her with only a handful of seeds as she fell down, 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 down. Far below in the waters, some of the birds and animals looked up. "Someone is falling toward us from the sky," said one of the birds. "We must do something to help her," said another. Then 2 swans flew up. They caught the woman from the sky between their wide wings. Slowly, they began to bring her down toward the water, where the birds and animals were watching. "She is not like us," said one of the animals. "Look, she doesn't have webbed feet. I don't think she can live in the water." "What shall we do then?" said another one of the water animals. "I know," said one of the water birds. "I have heard that there is earth far below the waters. If we dive down and bring up the earth, then she will have a place to stand." So the birds and animals decided that someone would have to bring up the earth. One by one, they tried. The duck dove down first, some say. He swam down and down, far beneath the surface, but could not reach the bottom, and floated back up. Then the beaver tried. He went even deeper, so deep that it was all dark, but he could not reach the bottom either. Then the loon tried. Swimming with his strong wings, he had gone a long, long time, but he too failed to bring up earth. Soon it seemed that all had tried and all had failed. Then a small voice spoke. "I will bring up the earth, or die trying." They looked to see who it was. It was the tiny muskrat. She dove down and swam and swam. She was not as strong or as swift as the others, but she was determined. She went so deep that it was all dark, and still she swam deeper. She went so deep that her lungs felt ready to burst, but she swam deeper still. At last, just as she was becoming unconscious, she reached out one small paw and grasped the bottom, barely touching it before she floated up, almost dead. When the other animals saw her break the surface. They thought she failed. Then they saw her right paw was held tightly shut. "She has the earth," they said. "Now where can we put it?" "Place it on my back," said a deep voice. It was the great turtle, who had come up from the depths. They brought the muskrat over to the great turtle and placed her paw against his back. To this day, there are still marks at the back of the turtle's shell, which were made by muskrat's paw. The tiny bit of earth fell on the back of the turtle. Almost immediately, it began to grow larger and larger and larger until it became the whole world. Then, the two swans brought the sky woman down. She stepped onto the new earth and opened her hand, letting the seeds fall onto the bare soil. From those seeds, the trees and grass sprang up. Life on earth had begun.
Wasn't that great? Thank you, Jeremiah and family, for taking part in today's celebration. Our next speaker is Lloyd Friesen. Lloyd came to us from our Welcome Center, where he is currently working in recruitment. Lloyd is a former graduate of the College of Menominee Nation with associate degrees in social science, liberal studies, and sustainable development. Also, a bachelor's in public administration. Currently, he is in the process of obtaining another degree in digital media.
Poso, Tatakasu Awasa, Inet Aswisian. Mokama Nuiswan, Lloyd Friesen. Hello, my name is Strong Bear. Lloyd Friesen is my English name. I'm the traditional recruiter for the College of Menominee Nation, and I work in the Student Services Department. Today I'll be talking about sustainability and what that means to me. Sustainability covers a lot of things, and I think the most part that most models forget is the people. How do we sustain our people? As being a Menominee community member, we are hit with diabetes and other health issues, but lack of education, I think, is one of our biggest adversaries as a community member. So how do we sustain that people? So it's my belief, not only my belief, but the elders tell me about the 7 directions. So in the morning we get up, we pray to the east of the rising sun, the south for reflection, the west because the ancestors are there, and to the north, which has a particular meaning to me because I'm Bear Clan, and that's where my clan usually prays in the morning. There's also a Father Sky and Grandmother Earth. So those are 6 directions. That 7th direction is me. I am a direction, as is everyone else who walks this earth. My meaning as being a direction comes from whatever I do, there is somebody always out there that is watching me, or is it actually influenced by the things that I do. So I have to maintain integrity, humility, trust, bravery, courage, love. All of those traits, all of those things that make me who I am, hopefully are passed on to that person who I am influencing, especially my children. I think education is a really big component to actually finding out who you are and what you want to do in life. So now we're here today to honor Earth Day, mending our earth. We were trying to do restoring our earth, but you can't really restore something and then it remains the same. When you restore something, it means you're replacing something. But if you're mending something, it means that you're fixing what's broken. It took me a little while to actually think about the restoring our earth and mending our earth. We don't want to replace anything on our earth, but we do want to mend our effects, our carbon footprints, our daily tasks. What are we doing different? When we walk into a store, do we buy the foam plates or do we buy the paper plates? Do we take dish bags? How do we send that message to our children? Not purposely, but they're always watching what we do. So how do we get that moral teaching or that invaluable, that intuitive teaching to that child when they watch us make our decisions? And so Earth Day is really about coming together, recognizing, okay, we're humans. We are the number one cause of what's going on with the earth. What can I do better? the College of Menominee Nation, they exceed in sustainable lessons, even in coursework. They bring the value, traditional knowledge. I've graduated CMN 2016 with 2 associate degrees, one in social sciences and one in sustainable development. And in 2017, I graduated with a public administration's bachelor's degree. I'm also going through class right now, but we'll see how that goes. Most of the coursework is geared towards Native American authors. I took poetry. I never knew there were so many Native American authors. I know Ryan Wynn's going to be mad at me, but the one author that I do remember is Yellow Robe. And he wrote The Bodyguard, I think it was, that played The Bodyguard, which was hilarious. But I never experienced or never would have known about Native American authors if I hadn't gone to the College of Menominee Nation, which is actually right on our reservation. It is so accessible. The College of Menominee Nation was established in 1993 by President Verna Fowler, who is now retired. They started off in a trailer, just a small trailer. And the first classes came out of that trailer with associate degrees. And then we got part of our building. It was the Shirley Daly Hall. And then the college started growing. We're a small college, but we're proud of that, because that means our instructors have more one-on-one with our students, and they make sure we get the contact. So I think the college actually recognizes the needs of all people, not just Menominee people, but all of our surrounding communities. And that goes for the word we use here on the Menominee Nation, and it's Natanawe Muckanuck, all of my relations. Not just Menominee relations, but everyone within that 4-nation circle, the black, the red, the yellow, the white. All those nations go together because all those nations are here on Grandmother Earth. So recognizing how we can best stay sustainable and how we can pass that knowledge on, that traditional ecological knowledge, that TEK, to our neighbors and our other community members, has been a lifelong mission of the Menominee people, and also is a big mission of the College of Menominee Nation. When we talk about sustainability and when we talk about Earth Day, it's just recognizing we're only here for a little bit. Okay? As old as the Earth is, millions and millions of years old, and our short lifespan, what will we leave behind? What are the teachings that we leave behind? And I think the College of Menominee Nation instills that in each and every one of our students to be the best they can be, but within a sustainable way. So, I think that's about all my time that I have. I don't know if I spoke a little too long, or because I'm a public admin guy, so I can speak all day. But happy Earth Day, and always remember that 7th direction. Those decisions you make, someone's always watching. So walk in a humble way, in a good way, and make sure that you're helping your fellow man, and make sure that you're always looking out for Grandmother Earth. Now how?
Thank you, Lloyd, for sharing that background information on the college and recruitment opportunities. We are blessed to have you with us. We are now moving into the Peace Tree portion of today's celebration. Our next presenter and moderator for this portion is Nels Huss. Nels Huss is 68 years old and has worked in the woodworking industry for 48 years. Married to his childhood sweetheart Ellen for 48 years as well. They have 5 children and 9 grandchildren. After attending college at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point and UW-Milwaukee, he started his full-time work at his family business, Milwaukee Millwork. After a long bout with cancer, he is now in remission. He took a job at MTE as a marketing and millwork specialist. He enjoys this job very much and tries to do things for MTE and the tribe as a whole. Take it away, Nels.
Poso, or welcome everyone. Remember 2020. After a year of social divisions and global pandemic, the Menominee Nation and EarthDay.org are joining together to usher in the next 50 years of Earth Day and a new era of peace, justice, and climate restoration. The Menominee Reservation in Wisconsin is considered the world's greatest sustainable forest. It is on the oldest sustainable managed forest land in the world. For over 167 years, we have practiced it. The United Nations has recognized the Menominee community for balancing land use with sustainable practices to preserve forests for future generations. We manage 230,000 acres of forest land. 95% of our reservation is forested, and we harvest over 15 million board feet of lumber per year, which is quite an impressive amount. And yet the forest is outproducing what we cut. Pretty incredible, wouldn't you say? Now with the 51st Earth Day taking place this month, the Menominee Nation are continuing that tradition with multiple projects that will look forward to keeping their community sustainable and environmentally sound for the next 50 years. The Menominees passed down the importance of taking care of your community from generation to generation. Keeping the youth environmentally literate and passionate is key. And this Earth Day, that tradition will continue with the planting of 5,000 white pine trees at various locations by school children. In addition to the 5,000 trees being planted around the state, a symbolic white pine tree, the Peace Tree, will be dedicated on Earth Day in Keshena, Wisconsin. The Peace Tree will act as a symbol of peace and reconciliation following the division and hardship we've seen in our society and our environment. It is a new symbol of a new unity together, changing and growing as a nation. A partnership with EarthDay.org is also underway to help bring Menominee's deep knowledge of forestry into the education system. K-12 students throughout the U.S. and the world will learn about trees, the science of sustainable forestry, and the vital work that needs to be done to help build back and maintain our forests. Such things as coloring contests, fabulous teaching programs, and for the first time, a sustainable forest simulator game where students can actually see the effects of fire, logging, and planting as they manipulate it on a computer screen. Bringing reforestation and sustainable forest management education to the next generation will plant seeds as powerful as the trees themselves. The Menominee Tribal Enterprises have worked with college students from nearby universities, the College of the Menominee Nation, the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, and the Milwaukee School of Engineering have helped us to develop all these materials to send to local students all over the world. Keep pressing on for the next 50 years. Wawanan, and thank you. Our first speaker will be Tia Nelson. Tia is internationally recognized as a tireless champion for environmental stewardship and climate change and education. She spent 17 years with the Nature of Conservancy of Government Relations as a policy advisor for Latin America, and she was later first director of the Global Climate Change Initiative. For this work, she received the EPA's Climate Protection Award in the year 2000. Tia returned home to Wisconsin to serve as Executive Secretary to the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands, which included a gubernatorial appointment as co-chair of Wisconsin's Task Force on Global Warming. She currently advises Outrider Foundation on its climate control program and other initiatives. Please welcome Tia Nelson.
Thank you so much. It's really good to be with you all today. I'm grateful for the efforts that you all are engaged in as stewards of the environment and in promoting the Peace Tree Project, which is very exciting to me. The idea, I'm delighted to know there will be a peace tree growing in Washington, a symbol of our commitment to growing a stronger environmental movement that is both environmentally just and socially just. I want your audience to know and reflect a little bit as they endeavor in this work. My father was just a little boy from a little town in northern Wisconsin, and he had a really big dream to which he dedicated his life. To public service and to environmental stewardship. The first Earth Day, April 22nd, 1970, was successful beyond my father's wildest dreams, largely because of students, especially on college campuses, playing a critical role in creating that social will and political capital for action. Keep in mind that 50 years ago, the country was very politically divided. There was great generational divide. And there are similarities with this moment in our history as well. More people gathered on the first Earth Day than any other time in American history. 20 million people gathered in communities across the country. And one of the really brilliant things I think that my father brought in advancing the idea of setting aside a day for college campuses to teach on the environment, which was his original idea, was the idea that everyone should be able to respond in a way that made sense to them in their own communities. And by empowering local action, informed by people's passions where they lived, he empowered millions and millions of Americans whose voices were heard on that day. In the decade that followed, more environmental laws to protect clean air and clean water were passed than at any other time in American history. And a Republican president signed into law the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, a government entity designed to protect our rights, everyone's rights, to breathe clean air and drink clean water. The success of that was quite remarkable. It surprised my father. It would delight him to no end that today, that day and that event and that commitment to the cause of the environment continues so strong. And I really, when I came to tell the story for the 50th anniversary, I didn't want it just to be a reflection on the past, but also a reflection on this present moment in the environmental movement and a look towards the future. My hope is that on the 100th anniversary of Earth Day, 50 years from today, we are celebrating the accomplishments of the citizens of this world to address the big environmental challenges that are affecting our quality of life, none bigger than that of climate change. So when I made the film, When the Earth Moves, we did a call to action. United, you can solve this. I recruited two remarkable people to help me in telling my father's story. One, Varshini Prakash, the youth activist and co-founder of the Sunrise Movement, who's been an author of the Green New Deal and injected a sense of energy and enthusiasm into addressing climate change in really remarkable ways. Joining us was Bob Inglis, a former Republican congressman, evangelical Christian, who has now dedicated his life to addressing the climate change challenge. The fact that Varshini and Bob have different policy responses to how to solve the climate change challenge didn't matter to me. What was important to me was that Bob and Varshini came together to renew my father's original call to action for a multi-generational, bipartisan, socially just movement to help ensure the future prosperity of this and every generation that follows. So it was with a great sense of pride and good fortune that I got Bob and Varshini to join me in telling this story. And I really hope your audience enjoys watching the film. It's about 7 minutes. Using archival footage of my father on the first Earth Day and more contemporary messages about a hopeful future when we unite together to solve big problems like climate change. And so I hope that your audience feels a sense of inspiration. Certainly I did. I remain deeply grateful to Varshini and Bob for helping me tell this story. And I hope that your audience enjoys it. And I'm certainly grateful for your efforts and excited about the planting of the peace trees as well.